Whew. Well, here we go. I want to start this out by saying I am very excited to create this video today. We are going to address a community member's recent YouTube video, NovaQ. You make a lot of great points, but you also get a ton of information incorrect. So let's go ahead and just address all of your concerns, and more. This is not something that we're going to be doing in response to everyone who makes claims and pleas for changes, but this one in particular struck a little close to home. We all love being transparent here at Combat Waffle. Just look around at almost all the other game studios out there and you're not going to see this level of transparency. It's one of the huge reasons why I love working here, because I get to do things like this and talk so openly with the community about everything. There are things that we do want to keep a surprise so that they're still fun and exciting when new content patches and updates drop. But in this particular case, we're going to be jumping in head first, and I'll be as open with you about everything from NovaQ's video. We're going to try and go in the same order of how NovaQ's video was. So up first is the discussion of the player marketplace not existing in-game yet. Yes, it is still planned. It will be created at one point in the future. We don't have any given date, and it's not on our internal roadmap for the rest of 2024. This is something that's going to be a ton of fun when it does come into existence, but it's going to require a lot of development time and testing. It's also going to create a whole new economy basically, and that'll be a new dynamic in the world of Tabor. We want to make sure that this is done right and that we don't rush it into creation. As far as the name goes, yes, you were definitely reaching. The name Tabor did not come from being closely related or copying another game's name. It was originally going to be called Ghost of Kiev, but due to recent conflicts in Eastern Europe, the name was changed to reflect the town of Tabor in the Czech Republic, which is a very near and dear place to Scott. To the next part. Using assets in our older cinematic trailers of items that have not yet been added into the game. So there were originally plans for some of these assets to enter the game in the early days of Tabor, but Husky was hired on, and instead we went a different route with the helmets and headgear that we currently have. But you're right, it had not been addressed to the community why these items were not in the game, so hopefully this helps a little bit. There may be some other items and props that get used in cinematic trailers that will not directly reflect items that we have in the game, but we're going to try and make sure that from here on out that we'll make note of that on the cinematic trailers themselves so that you, the community, will no longer be confused. Whew. Now, onto the topic of assets. We very much did and do use paid assets. The tents on island, chunks of missile silo, and even a few small parts of Matka Underground, which Nova has claimed that we use the entire map for Matka Underground, but we'll get into that in a minute. This is no different than a majority of other small indie VR studios and a lot of other games that you're going to see on the Quest store. We have hired a few amazing 3D artists who have created amazing works of art and are creating things as fast as they physically can to meet deadlines. Yes, even as an indie studio, we do have deadlines. And with having them around, the assets that we have purchased and used are slowly being replaced with new remade assets, such as the 1911, the Glock 17, Deagle, MP5, the FN57, the Ruger Mark IV, the Barrett 50 cal replaced with the M107CQ submodel of the Barrett, the Hunter 85 soon being replaced with the Tika T3, all of the character models remade, and all of the Phoenix models remade. On top of all these remade assets, we have had plenty of in-house created assets, such as all of Matka Mies, the SOG knives, collector, all the JW3 DLC guns and knives, the Taurus Raging Hunter revolver, the Tapco SKS, the HK USP 45, the Mac 11, all the armor and chest rigs, all the junk loot, all the content creator items, the medical machines, all the backpacks and helmets, except for a few on the marketplace that are actually listed for sale by our 3D modeler Husky from before he started working here. And so many more items that I don't really have time to sit here and discuss because there's just too many to list, and there's a lot more in this video. We have also used the Russian-Soviet prop pack from the Unreal store. It was a fantastic pack that worked really well in the early days when our dev team was a lot smaller than it is today. These assets may get remade one day, but at the time being, they work great and look great and have no need for us to sink development time into. Nova's claim about the body bags being used in Matka Mies, albeit a small claim, I will still address it. So no, these look nothing like the marketplace asset that you provided in the video and is confirmed by the 3D artist who made that individual asset, as you can see by the image here on the screen if you are watching. Can we also get a round of applause for this same 3D artist who busted his ass on the Matka Museum interior? I mean, just look at this. Now onto Nova's claim that the entire Matka Underground map was used from the sewerage pack. Now this is extremely misleading. We did use the pack for part of the map, and our artist went in and rebuilt all the meshes to optimize the pieces that were in in the pack for usage on mobile platforms so that your XR2 chipset wouldn't explode when loading into the level. They then put the textures that came in that pack back on top of those meshes that they rebuilt, so it's nice and clean. Then on top of this, they meticulously created the subway system with a lot of detail, as well as the rest of Matka Underground that you don't see listed here in this pack. Once again, we're a small indie VR studio, trying not to overhire staff, burn our budget, and not be able to have a sustainable future as a company. Two of our environment artists, Prismo and Sebastian, worked their asses off in creating something that would be breathtaking and push the limits of the graphical fidelity that you can get out of the Quest platform. And for those things to be called asset flip material in this particular case is extremely hurtful to our team who have worked sleepless nights to deliver a product that they're so extremely proud of. Please try and do some actual research before whipping around accusations. I reached out to Prismo and we talked about the creation of Matka Miest, as you can clearly see in this conversation, as well as some internal showcases while Prismo was working on the props for Matka Miest. Now the guns promised and not released, such as the other versions of the Glock and MP5 with a Picatinny rail. This is because these are versions of the weapons that will be used when we eventually implement the full in-depth gun customization system. But will that even be implemented soon, you ask? Most likely not, as it is not on our internal roadmap for the rest of this year. In conclusion to the assets, yes, we have purchased assets and used them. This should not mean any less for our game, as we're not looking to flip anything, and it's been 2 years and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Yes, there are still a lot of things that need to be recreated one day, but at the moment our internal roadmap and bug fixing task list take priority over these minute things. Whew. Okay, on to the plugins accusations. So, taking a look at this list that was here in the video, the Character AI plugin is a base Unreal plugin, as well as a vast majority of these other plugins, which, as I was just taught by our developers today, are actually core plugins that make up what Unreal Engine is as a whole. Many of these base plugins have been heavily modified to suit the needs of Ghost of Tabor. There are other plugins on this list as well that were created in-house by our developers, such as the medical system, because as you remember, when it was implemented, it was an entire new core system added to Tabor. This will happen when things like the gun customization system are implemented. Unreal Engine will not do what Unreal Engine was meant to do and create a game without 90% of these plugins. This is how it comes out of the box from Epic Games and goes to show how little a lot of people know about game development. So, Nova, you complained in the beginning of your video about us adding content and not fixing bugs enough, and then backtrack over yourself by saying that we need to keep it fresh and add content to the game. This is the constant battle that we have to deal with every day as a game studio, with two different crowds yelling what they want. And we have agreed that while we're going to prioritize bugs, without the addition of any content, the game would get stale and a large chunk of our player base would disappear. It's all about that balance between content and bug fixes. This is something that we feel a lot of studios nowadays are struggling with. You have a community that's been screaming for more content, but then screaming when you drop the new content that they've been asking for, and it breaks parts of the game. Let us know what you personally think should be prioritized down below. Moving on to the Content Creator Program. You stated that twice the program was given patch notes early to help create content and such before the patch drops, and then the creators were left in the dust for many months. And while there's a mix of reasons behind this, such as full patch notes not being generated until a few days before the actual patches, we could say that there has been a little bit of slacking in that aspect on our media team, myself included. So we'll be fixing this moving forward, making sure that we give the content creators as much of a patch note list early so that they can create content in advance. Whether these patch notes will be final or completely accurate is going to be still up in the air, but we're going to try our best. The questioning of our reasons for wiping early. Yes, the game very much was wiped due to our anti-cheating measures being implemented and needing to catch those cheaters with our system and ban them, as well as the launch of the Pico 4 and making sure that we put all the players over there onto an even playing field with the other platforms. The other side of Island Day is not here yet, and it won't be for a little while as it's not our main focus currently. Island of Tabor and Matka and many of the other maps will be expanded upon in the future when the hardware can support it. The Quest 2's hardware, our current state of optimization, and the obvious need of raising the player count from 12 if we expand the size of the island are all core reasons that we cannot focus down on this right now. Next topic at large.
All we got is Mika and Mika Underground, which was split into 2 different maps.
A quick note, Nova, stating that you have thousands of hours in Tabor, and creating informative content for Tabor is amazing. Thank you for doing that. But at the same time, how do you not know that Matka is not pronounced Mika? The creation of Matka Miest and Matka Underground were needed as they were built from the ground up with the Quest 2 and 3 in mind, and every single thing that was made was so that it could be properly optimized for those platforms. Two more of our environment artists, Sebastian and Vladimir, worked their asses off to create and polish up everything that you see in Underground. And you come out here saying that we clearly know that we didn't make the majority of it in-house?
And then lying behind our backs saying that you guys make it in-house when you clearly know you don't.
We clearly know we did. I hope this video has been as bullshit free as possible, and if there is anything that you think is bullshit in this video, call us out on it. We have absolutely nothing to hide. We love VR, we love Tabor, and we want to see the world of VR succeed, and we're not here to just create junk and ignore the community. I mean, the reason why the Bunker Cat even got added was thanks to the overwhelming amount of the community asking for it. Also, which, by the way, yes, the kitty for the most part was an asset pack visually, and the development time spent on that went towards making it walk around in the bunker and play with the ball. But before you go ahead and accuse people in the future, please make sure to do some more research and take messages that you get sent from our player base with a grain of salt. Bring those messages to us on the media team and we will be open with you, within reason, in confirming or denying claims about random things. Thanks again, Taborites, and have a wonderful rest of your day.